ceremonies, Nathan Cassar.
And welcome to another electric episode of the Justice Planned TV and podcast show, your go-to destination for groundbreaking wedding insights and inspiration. I'm your host and seasoned wedding MC, Nathan Cassar, and today we're diving headfirst into the dynamic world of wedding entertainment with a very special guest, Richard Hughes, better known as the Bowtie DJ Guy. Richard brings a fresh perspective to the art of wedding DJing, just when you thought you've seen it all, where every performance is a carefully crafted symphony of beats and bow ties. With an eye for detail and a passion for keeping dance floors packed, Richard's mission is to elevate each wedding to new heights of excitement and energy. Now, but Richard's journey isn't just about spinning tunes, it's a story of passion, perseverance, and style. From his humble beginnings as a club DJ to his evolution into a sought-after wedding entertainer, Richard's love for music and fashion shines through in every performance. During our conversation, Richard will unveil the secrets behind creating the perfect wedding playlist, ensuring that every song resonates with the couple and their guests. We'll also explore the vital role that the bride and groom play in setting the tone for the party, as well as the importance of choosing the right entertainment to make your special day truly unforgettable. And of course, we will talk about exactly why he's called the Bowtie DJ Guy. I think it's going to be very hard to skip over that. I think it has something to do with a particular item he loves to wear, but we'll see. We'll let him speak for himself. So get ready to groove, laugh, and discover why Richard's customer service background is the key to his success as a wedding DJ and MC. If you're eager to transform your wedding celebration into a night to remember, you really won't want to miss this episode, so do not go anywhere. Welcome to the show, Richard. How you doing?
Hello, happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you, mate. I love the bow tie already. For those that are just listening, describe the one that you're wearing today.
This one here is it's got hints of sage green on it, and I think that there's a lot of aspects of the Hunter Valley where I do a lot of my weddings that people go, oh, I've got sage green in my floral scheme or something like that. So they want me to sort of coordinate to that, and this just sort of works perfectly within that.
Yeah. Well, in fact, actually, I do have it on good authority that green and garden, that whole sort of concept is actually becoming really on trend for 2024. So you're certainly going to be fitting in right well with the crowd with the bow tie like that. I think. How many actually have you got in your collection?
I have 2 cases of 18. I found it difficult to actually find cases for them because there's so many like tie storage cases that you can buy. But then I went, well, hang on, like sunglasses are around the same size. So I actually ended up, buying sunglasses cases, and the more custom ones that I ordered, because I get mine all custom made, I ended up having to buy more, and pretty soon I'll be looking to get more. I've got a pretty decent collection thus far. So 36 is pretty good. Started off on eBay, probably, that's not very custom of me. But now I custom made, so yeah.
I love it. I love it. I know that the audience may not know, but we actually do share the same love for a particular Hunter Valley based bow tie custom maker. So big shout out to Lucy at Theo and Ted for supplying both our bow ties. I saw yours and I was like, I had to get mine on camera. Sorry for those listening, but feel free to jump on YouTube and watch if you're interested. But this is one of my favorites that she actually put together. I just love the concept of a bow tie, the speckled one that she put together for my blue suits. I think what's really cool is that what it really shows overall, the main point of why I wanted to open the show like this is just to prove that, often we were talking about this offline before we started the show as well. Often there's this concept that the DJ, because you're in the corner, so to speak, you're sort of on the floor plan. You're not usually front and center. And so because of that, it's assumed that the DJs that are out there are typically not going to, show up more than just, a shirt that doesn't have, I don't know, like, last night's dinner on it or something like that, which, is obviously completely different to how you approach things. And certainly not every DJ is like that. But tell me, what inspired you? And do you see a difference in the way that, your brand and the way that, your audience and the guests will treat you on the night just purely because of the way that you present yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I guess I get mistaken for staff a lot. And it doesn't matter where I am, or which venue. Obviously, I see certain staff wearing certain things, but a lot of those are still wearing that nice white shirt and everything, or black attire, all done up nicely. It's all hospitality, obviously. And so when I'm wearing what I'm wearing, I know that usually I wear a black vest as well. I try to look the part. But I guess people do still think, oh, I thought you were part of the bridal party, because I do dress to the occasion.
Mm.
If you were to tell me, oh, I want you to dress down, I probably still wouldn't. Or if I did, I'd probably just lose the vest, and still just wear the white shirt and the bow tie. But I definitely feel like, people are amazed by it and compliment me as such as well.
Well, that's great, and you certainly deserve it. And I think it's one of those things that it's about a mark of when people are choosing vendors. It's just important to discover personality and to discover hey, I don't know, you might find some couples out there that don't like the idea of their DJ wearing a bow tie. I mean, I'd be surprised. I'd like to talk to those people too, because I often wear the bow ties with my tuxes. But it's look, I'm certain that it's one of those things that couples out there should be, if you're listening, should be really taking careful eye on. Those smaller details can actually make a big difference, because we're not going to be obviously wearing our suits and bow ties and ties and everything else in between when we're having our meetings with you, or our sales calls, or our planning meetings. But we're certainly going to be we should be caring about our attire for your day, because we're going to be in the background of photos and so forth. So definitely something to be looking for. So, moving more to your DJ expertise, because obviously that's why the other half of your name, the bow tie DJ guy. You mentioned that you have a philosophy on the basis of talking about tailored playlists, and also trusting sort of what your knowledge of music versus obviously balancing what the couples perceive their audience to appreciate, and perhaps they've got a certain genre that they really like, and it's about sort of finding balance between putting in metal songs but not killing the dance floor, for instance, something like that. How do you reconcile this and help your couples to build the ultimate custom playlist, but also leverage your experience as well?
Of course. So I like to be recognized as someone who can understand a dance floor and know when to change things up. There have been times in the past when clients have given me a list and said, I want you to play from that. And it makes it really difficult for me to pick and choose what's going to work and when, especially when I may not, I might have all of the songs on their playlist, or at least attempt to have everything from that. But even if I did have it all, it's hard for me to judge what's going to work and when. So what I try to do is I tell them to give me a Spotify playlist of songs that they love. And I recognize certain trends in that and use it as a reference. I also then, in their forms, before we finalize all their music selections, First Dance, Father-Daughter Dance, all of those specific songs, they can select from certain criteria, pop, R&B, 70s, 80s, 90s, girl power, house, techno, whatever they really want, they can give it to me and I'll go, oh, sweet, like that's pretty cool. And then I use that and their playlist to reference back what they like I said, recognizing the trends of what I know would work. And then I also have Spotify playlists on my website as samples. There's 20 songs in each, and I just, canapes and entrees, pop till you drop, heat and beats, and they can select those as well and go, oh, I really like what was in this playlist. Like, please, incorporate those into our list as well. And then on the night, I pretty much just go in and go, all right, this is working, this isn't. The amount of people that tell me that that's how they prefer it anyway really does comfort me, because they go, oh, we're hiring you based on your experience. Otherwise, we would just hire a jukebox and just play from that set Spotify list, for example. And, I've had people tell me that they were at a wedding, at such and such time, and they just had that speaker and a Spotify playlist playing, and it was up, down, turn around, we're playing Macarena, everyone's on the dance floor, and then all of a sudden it's a metal song and everyone clears. So it's about me finding, using those references and going, this is working. And then the dance floor might start to empty, change it up and go back to a banging, bring people back, and just try and keep the dance floor as full as possible by referencing that. And even if I go away from it and people love what's played, it's very rare that they come back and say, I didn't play to what they wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe, as you're saying, it's all about that adaptability and having, a good reference point. And I think also it's a matter. I'm hearing in between the lines. It's a matter of communication, right? Because I think at the end of the day, if the expectations are set by the couple simply as the one line of communication is, "Here's my playlist. Play this. Goodbye. See you later. I'm going to go on to other wedding planning stuff now." And there's
Mm.
no like, hang on. Like, I love this for you. Can we just have a quick convo about it? And I think this also starts way back at the beginning of when they first meet you, of course, meet someone like you and they go, do we want someone who will bring their expertise in or not? So I think there is a genuine question there for couples out there to be like, okay, do we want to have a DJ or a band who, for instance, in terms of music wise, who are prepared and happy to add their expertise in, or are we purely just prefer a human jukebox? And that's okay if that's what you want. Certain people have certain desires and that's your day and so forth. But I think you're right. I've definitely seen a lot of dance floors and a lot of DJs tell me, oh, now I've got to play this song because it's something that they really wanted, because whatever. And because it's not announced, it's not, I certainly was never prepared for it when they just played it and they go, what was that? And they go, oh, that's what they wanted. I said, well, I could have announced that at least, but it's the desire to sort of tick the boxes as opposed to what you're proposing, which is a much more bespoke experience. Definitely, I've seen many times your version will absolutely, kill the dance floor in the good kind of way. Speaking of sort of, you mentioned to me that also the bride and groom, obviously, or the couples out there, no matter what configuration you are, it's about, I've known them being the focus of the party, right? So it's one thing to say that they definitely have a lot of decision making power. Of course, it's their day, but at the same time, the way that couples will perform on the day itself can have a really massive impact. I've certainly seen it where a couple hasn't been present and therefore the wedding has definitely gone a different direction compared to when they've been around quite a lot. So I'm sure you've got a lot to speak on this. So what's the real impact of the presence or perhaps non-presence of a couple during the wedding party?
That's a very interesting point to make, and you are 100%. The more that they want to be involved in their wedding, the better the experience is going to be for them and the people around them and their guests. So and speak about that playlist, sort of everything that I'm playing. If I'm playing to them and what they love, then the guests are going to glue to them. I've got many friends in the industry now, and even they, as fellow vendors, talk to their couples, photographers alike, and say, I want to get shots of you guys on the dance floor. And the more that you're enjoying it, your guests will glue. So if you're not interested in having, being the center of that party, then, the guests aren't really going to. If you want to be over, and just hanging off to the side, you will find that your guests won't exactly enjoy the dance floor as much. I could be playing banger after banger, all the classics and everything, and they'll enjoy it, but they're not going to have as much fun as if they're wanting to be around, photo booths. Nothing against them, but if they're running at peak parts of that dance floor and guests are dragging them off and whatnot, you'll find that they'll just spend countless amounts of time in there, and the dance floor suffers for that. And people go, oh, that DJ might not have played what they wanted. So I'll always try to cater to you. And even just a couple of weeks ago, a bride right at the very, very end of the night came up to me and she said, how's this for a compliment? I haven't been to the bathroom for 2.5 hours because I was afraid I was going to miss a banger from you. And I was shook. I was like, cool, no worries.
And then you're like, okay, now go to the bathroom, please, because that sounds
please go do your thing. Yes, please.
I'll play something really boring,
So it is important, and they were the life of the party. The groom was in a moon boot and still managed to get up on the dance floor.
That's amazing. I love
have
that.
A great time. That was a killer wedding. It's just that's another story. We don't have to go into that one.
I totally agree with everything you said, and absolutely, I've seen the power of the presence and non-presence of a couple. I constantly will get people asking me like, "Where are they?" And I go, "Well, they're over there." And they go, "Can you bring them over here?" I was like, "Well, they look pretty sort of intensely, sort of, I can see that they've been flitting around the room for a while, and it's kind of what they wanted to do." And it's like, obviously, we can only do so much, right? But I think also there is a alternative way of looking at it, of course, playing devil's advocate, that there are some people that perhaps really, really strongly don't want to be the center of attention. But I think we need to reframe the conversation as not so much that you being on the dance floor puts the spotlight back on you specifically. It's just more or less a call to action to say your guests are there to celebrate you. And so therefore, they're really keen to be having those little micro moments with you. And so if you can give them, I know it sounds like a busy thing, right? But weddings are busy days. If you can give them those specific micro moments, it just will have the impact that you're hoping all those little moments to have. If you don't never visit the photo booth, it's probably not going to be as busy, perhaps. If you never, get on the dance floor at least once, it's probably not going to be as busy. So it definitely, right. You are 100% right that the presence of them and what they choose to do is definitely going to be a big factor. So no pressure, guys, if you're listening. It's going to be A-okay.
And make sure you go to the bathroom. Please go to the bathroom.
And eat. Oh my goodness, the amount of times I get it. Don't get me wrong, but please eat. It makes me feel anxious. So you mentioned in your bio that you come from a strong customer service background. Could you tell me specifically what that background was, and then also how? It sounds obvious, right? We're in a service-based industry, so there's obviously some form of service being provided, but more specifically, can you describe sort of how your background comes into play as a wedding MC and DJing?
Definitely. I'll start off with the retail background sort of thing. 8 years in a retail automotive store. And did some Cert 2s and all those sort of degrees in the process and whatnot, and up being management. All of those sort of things definitely helped me as far as a customer service thing. It's one thing, responding at an inquiry, and then, being punctual instead of just going, your date's available, here's a quote, actually explaining and, having everything correct there. I get nervous. Have I made a spelling error here? Have I not done something correctly? All of those sort of things sort of help me be as professional as I can be, leading right up to the conversations that we have. And then also on the night, how I use that experience to win them and their guests over by mingling and talking and just chatting. Because, I don't want to be that guy that just sits behind the booth and plays, music and just the next song's on, let's do this and whatnot. I want to create an experience, and the more that you can show that they can trust you by having those conversations, it really does help. So definitely, my customer service background has tenfold allowed me to, even remain calm in certain situations. Someone's got maybe a fairly average request, or a request that, the bride and groom said they definitely did not want. And I can't go, nah, that's, go away. I got to be, let me see what I can do. I'll try and see if I can factor it, even though I know it's probably a no. I definitely don't just like telling people to rack off and get out of my booth. Like that's about. Yeah,
definitely doesn't play well. I've never seen it ever works very successful at all. But I think it's a great origin story, and I think it really goes to show that a thorough conversation with any vendor that you may be choosing out there is really important. And I think also understanding where they come from in terms of their specific, career background, perhaps what they are doing, quote unquote, full time or part time, because many vendors are in different stages of building their business and so forth. So knowing where their priorities lie and whether or not that can then align with what you're prepared in terms of your wedding journey and the day itself, I think it's really telling. And but it's great that you obviously, you yourself individually have really taken all that sort of the positive and negatives of that retail experience background and, able to apply that into the wedding space, because it'd be wild sometimes. You mentioned a story to me offline. I'd like to talk more about it. There was a wedding last year where what I love about this story is that you mentioned that your attire was specifically seen in a lot of the photos, which is something that I've been trying to, teach other DJs out there. I think I mentioned at the beginning of the show, like having a good attire really really makes a difference, because also you happen to be in a lot of the photos. So, you know, being a part of the decor, so to speak, particularly if, you know, if you are sort of off to the side in the photos, is really important. So tell me more about this, the bright red shirt. I'm actually really curious to hear about this.
This story. All right. Yeah. So I was DJ MC at a wedding down in Wollombi in the Hunter Valley last year, and I was mingling with guests at the very first part of the evening, and someone complimented me on the attire, and then they gave me a story about when they got married, just a year or two prior. They said that the DJ wore this bright red collared shirt. Yep, collared shirt. You've ticked the box there at least. You know, you're wearing a collared shirt to a wedding, right? But what they then told me was that you know, they noticed that he was everywhere. He seemed to be everywhere but the booth for a lot of things. You know, specifically the barber. You know, that's different. And they said that when they got their photo album back, they were doing, you know, there's the DJ, there's the DJ, there's the DJ, there's the DJ. He was just everywhere but where he was really supposed to be. But he stood out so much that, you know, their theme wasn't red. You know, it could have been black and white completely. I didn't ask the question, but they just commented on the fact that this DJ was wearing something very bright, and he just, you know, he was in a lot of key focus shots when he probably didn't really need to be. So I guess, you know, it did give me a bit of relief to know that what I wear, if I'm in the background of a shot, I'm supposed to be there. You know, it's even like the uplighting that I put in my booth or facade, you know, that I try and match to their color scheme for whatever reason. That's also with the bow tie. Like, it just sort of means that it, you know, it looks like I'm supposed to be there, not just plonked there in the corner on a 6-foot table with a unironed white tablecloth and a laptop sitting there, and just, you know, plonked in the corner like it's not meant to be there. You know, I want everything to seem like I'm supposed to be there, including me wherever I am. So I take pride in that, and it was a good compliment to have.
Yeah, and so you should. I mean, end of the day, look, it's a mark of you being in a position where your price point is, you know, going to attract, you know, certain couples that within your preferred target audience who value that kind of thing. And so that's not a binary option where, you know, if you don't value that, then your wedding is terrible or something like that. That's definitely not the point we're trying to make here. I think it's more or less that, you know, if that kind of thing where you want each of your vendors also, and it's not just to people like yourself and I, it's every single person as well, your photographers, because I know photographers wear different things, right? Some have the standard black branded shirts, have some of the country style Kubra wearing types, and so on and so forth. Some have suits, which is fantastic. But end of the day, it seems like a benign thing. And I know we spent a lot of time in this show talking about it, but it's one of those things that I like to stress to couples that, you know, let's get into that mindset. I know we've just met. I know we're just talking. I know we're just vibing. Your wedding's in 8 months. We don't have to get too crazy into what the day's going to be like, because you barely booked half your vendors yet. But just setting the scene of what your vision is. You know, are you comfortable, you know, with perhaps here's my lookbook and suits that I have, or are you comfortable with, you know, me having a red shirt, something like that, you know, going to be in the background of every photo. I think, or your booth, you know, looking bespoke like yours with the stretch fabric and the uplighting versus, you know, no, we don't care about it. It's fine. Just, you know, sit in the corner in the trestle table and happy days, and the venue's got something for you. And like, 2 thumbs up. That's great. Yeah. But I think it is about sort of, you know, having those more in-depth conversations, because that then will lead to much stronger outcomes on the day itself, when you can't conceive all of this when you're first meeting. So, but I love that. It's a fantastic story, and it's definitely a great compliment. Mate, we're running out of time, but I do want to go through a couple of rapid fire questions with you, like we do at every end of every episode. And then I just, because you know, you're an expert, so I want to hear some expert things from you. So first thing, I would love to know, what is one question the couple should ask you when working with you?
Good question. I guess they should ask me how I would deal with requests or certain songs. You know, I know that, you know, I've touched on this as well. You know, people need to know that, you know, I'm never going to have absolutely everything, but I do have an idea of what works in my experience in the industry. And, you know, I want people to see comfort in the fact that I can deal with a request or something happening with the dance floor. So yeah, whether it be me or another DJ in particular, you got to ask the question how they would deal with certain requests as well, because sometimes it can go wrong.
No, perfect answer. That's a very, very critical question. 2, this might be a bit challenging, maybe not. Do you prefer indoor or outdoor weddings?
Okay. It is in my contract that I have to have some form of cover or wet weather plan in that regard.
Fair call. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, lots of equipment, electrical. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love a marquee wedding. All right. The only thing that I could probably say is sometimes, it's best to be on even ground, dance floor inclusive and whatnot. There can be wipeouts or spillages and everything that obviously don't help. But there's something about being out of the element that's nice. I mean, because I'm from the Hunter Valley, I see a lot of venues that have wine barrels as backdrops. I see a lot of, the warm white fairy lights. And there's something about doing an outdoor wedding that is just a little bit open and free. In an outdoor space, and majority of the weddings that I do are really hot inside. So yeah, definitely outside where there's a bit of a breeze is quite nice. That's for sure.
I had a feeling you were going to say that. And finally, what is your, set the scene? You've done your wedding. You've gone hard. Great wedding. Everyone's complimented on your 12 bow ties you wear in one night, and then you come home and it's recovery time. What's your typical sort of like at home, Richard's done, recovery scene for you?
All right, you're going right into the real me here. I am a mad NRL fan. Really? And so the busier that I am, the more games that I miss out on, obviously. I'm not about streaming it while I'm in the booth or sitting, sweet, the Newcastle Knights are doing terribly. But I am the kind of person that will get home and, it could be riding the wave depending on how far I've had to travel. And I'll sit down and then I'll have my beer and watch the KO minis and do that until probably either I pass out on the couch and my wife wakes me up, or I finish it all and then I go and cuddle up to her in bed.
Cute. Oh, that's great. What a great to come down from a wedding. Well, who do you go for?
The Newcastle Knights. No matter where I've gone or been or lived, I have always been a sucker for the Newcastle Knights.
That's okay, mate. I'll forgive you for that. At least you're a good DJ. Mate, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show today. It really, really means a lot to see the passion of someone like yourself. I mean, I've had the pleasure of working with you, and it was an absolute joy. It was seamless. It was the kind of things that I need as a dedicated MC, to just have both the support and then also to be able to take over during the dance floor time and really make that shine and take the energy that I was putting out there to begin with. Is just not something that I often get to work with, and it's a real joy to have someone like yourself in the industry who's so passionate about what they do. So you're a real credit to yourself. So you should be incredibly proud. If people also feel proud and they would like to, and they're impressed by you, by hearing you today, and want to get in touch and book you and have the best bespoke dance floor and have share your bow tie experience with you as well, how can they reach you and find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, I have socials, obviously. Facebook, you can just search the Bowtie DJ Guy. Instagram at Bowtie DJ Guy. And then the website, who guessed it, www.bowtiedjguy.com.au. Pretty straightforward there.
Fantastic. I love it. Well, take care of yourself. Good luck for your upcoming weddings. And I hope we get to cross paths again.
No worries. Thanks for your time, Nathan.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Just As Planned Wedding Podcast. Please like and subscribe to let me know that you want more videos just like this one. And of course, please follow us on our socials at Just As Planned Wedding on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for more expert insights to help your wedding go just as planned.